Her parents had chosen Oglethorpe Elementary School because it was near her mother's work, which was good when Tasha was little. Mama could get to the school in less than 5 minutes if need be. But now that Tasha was getting to be a young lady, Mama and Daddy thought that it would be better for her to be on her own side of town rather than across the street from the projects. Because this year would be her last chance to make a place for herself among the girls in her class, Tasha had devoted most of the vacation to improving her rope jumping technique. Because of the summer's inclement weather, she had practiced in her basement, tying one end of the rope to a wooden chair and forcing her 8-year-old sister Deshawn to turn the other end. Tasha had worked on all the skipping rhymes. She was best at ice cream and could get very near the end of the alphabet before losing her footing. But she had decided already that she would deliberately falter at P, since there was no boy in her class whose name began with that initial. After untangling the rope, she held one end in her hand and waited for someone else to grab the other, but no one did. "Y'all don't want to jump?" she asked. A small knee-socked cluster of girls shrugged in unison and looked toward Monica Fisher, the best rope skipper ever seen in Georgia. She had been born in Chicago, where the girls skipped 2 ropes at once and chanted rhymes that sometimes included cuss words. "Nah," said Monica. "I don't have time for that baby stuff. Y'all gonna make me sweat out my hair." She stroked her straightened page boy, pulled off her face with a wide headband. Tasha noticed horizontal imprints where rollers had been fastened. Tasha dropped the rope as if it were hot. She had washed her hair for the first day of school, but Mama had not subjected her to the torture of a pressing comb. Now she was unprepared. "That's all right," Tasha said. "I didn't really want to jump. There's just nothing else to do." "Look at her just lying," said Forsythia Collier, Monica's best friend. Forsythia's hair was also pressed, and her oily ringlets coiled all the way to her shoulders. "She probably practiced all summer." Monica laughed a little louder than was appropriate and continued her cackle until the other girls joined her. Tasha decided to laugh too. Didn't Mama tell her that a person needed to be able to laugh at herself? And besides, she didn't want to start a feud with Monica and Forsythia. Then the rain started, and Tasha was relieved, although she groaned along with everyone else as they ran toward the tin box that was their classroom this year. She even cried out, "My hair!" although her tight cornrows were impervious to climate. Inside the trailer, the noise of the rain on the roof rose into magnificent crescendos with the wind. "Let's play jacks," Tasha shouted over the weather. "Okay," Monica said. Tasha turned her head to hide her smile as she reached into her book bag for the purple felt sack that held 20 jacks and a purple rubber ball. Jumping rope wasn't the only thing she had practiced over the summer. The girls made a clearing by pushing all of the desk chairs over to one corner. Most of the boys argued over comic books under the supervision of their new teacher, Mr. Harrell. Tasha sat cross-legged on the floor across from Monica, while her classmates breathed over them with gumball breath. "Anybody else want to play? Up to 5 can play jacks." "No," Monica said. "Let's just let it be us." "Okay," Tasha said, tossing the tiny pieces of metal. Tasha won, as she had planned to, but she meant to quit before whipping Monica's sedity tail. But she couldn't make herself stop showboating, demonstrating all the techniques she had perfected over the long, wet summer vacation. She even knew maneuvers that none of them had seen before, things Tasha's mother learned as a kid in Oklahoma. Midwestern jacks had an entirely different flavor. The girls clapped when Tasha perfectly executed an around-the-world with double bounce and tap. Even a few boys came over and watched. "Dang," Roderick Palmer, the cutest boy in class, said behind his hand. "She killin', Monica." Tasha couldn't resist saying, "Want to play again?" although it was clear that Monica had had enough. Monica heaved herself from the floor and crossed her arms over her chest, hiding the outline of her training bra. "That's all right." She dusted off her pants with sharp wax. "I just let you in because my mother told me that everyone is supposed to be nice to you because your parents are getting separated and everything." Tasha clarified. "They're not separated. They're living apart right now. It's different." She paused for a minute, trying to explain what was different about her household and Monica's, or that of any of the other kids who didn't have a father anymore. She still had her daddy. He called her on the telephone almost every night and picked her up from ballet lessons on Tuesdays. Separated was different, harsher, almost as bad as divorce, and not once had her parents used that word. Monica laughed and touched Forsythia with her pointed elbow, soliciting a complicit chuckle. "It's just for a little while," Tasha insisted. A warmth spread from her chest up to her face as she gathered the jacks. "So," she shouted at Monica's back, "my mother says your parents live outside their means." No one watching responded to Tasha's comeback. Monica, who had taken a sudden interest in the boys' comic book wars, didn't even turn around. Only Rodney Green, the weirdest kid in class, seemed to ponder her remark. With his face extended by 2 cheeks full of bubble gum, he studied her with scrunched brows behind his glasses until Tasha felt uncomfortable and turned away. She went to the girls' room, sat in a stall, and rested her humiliation in the palms of her hands. Closing her eyes hard to stifle tears, the way pressing down on a cut stops bleeding, Tasha felt dumb as a rock. 2 weeks earlier, Daddy had moved out. Tasha wasn't so dumb that she didn't realize this was trouble. At first, when he and Mama came to tell her, Tasha thought they were going to tell her they were having another baby. That was what happened to Tayari Jones just last year. Tayari told everyone in class that her parents had come into her room smiling and holding hands and, just like that, told her that there would be a new baby in the house in August. So what was Tasha to think when Mama and Daddy knocked softly on her bedroom door and silently stepped over the clutter, holding hands? They never held hands or really touched each other, except a quick smack on the lips on each other's birthdays. "Thank you, baby." Then the kiss. And true enough, they hadn't been smiling like Tayari's parents. Mama held Daddy's hand tight so that her knuckles stood out and her face had worn a sorry, stretched look, like her chin was too heavy and was pulling her round face into a sad oval. But Tasha figured this was an appropriate precursor to news about an impending baby. Where in the world were they going to put it? In the guest room? It didn't seem fair that a baby should have a room to itself, while she had to share with Deshawn. And if the guest room was to be full of baby, then where would Nana stay when she came to visit from Birmingham? She knew Mama and Daddy weren't going to suggest putting it in here with her and Deshawn. There was not enough room for their 2 canopy beds and a crib. "What?" Tasha said, looking at Mama's abdomen. Daddy pulled his hand from Mama's and touched Tasha's face. "Wait till Deshawn gets here." Tasha climbed onto her bed and hugged her knees. This was serious. Twins? Oh, Jesus! She could take the Lord's name in vain all she wanted to, as long as she didn't do it out loud. One little sister was more than enough, really. She could imagine twins in identical prams. People would be saying how precious they were and how cute. It would be like being the only regular girl in a class full of pretty people. She got enough of that feeling at school already. Having it at home would be unbearable. Tasha wished she had X-ray vision, so she could look right in Mama's stomach and see what was going on under the brown blouse tucked into the waistband of her tan slacks. Her stomach poked out a little bit, but not any more than anyone else's mothers did. Or did it? Mama ran her hand across her front, flattening the pleats. There was the sound of a toilet flushing, and Deshawn came in. "What?" the little girl said, looking from her